It is a tense summer for America's waterfront, with August 1st fast approaching. President Trump sweeping new tariffs, some as high as 30% on imported goods from China, the EU, Mexico, all set to hit. And that could mean a seismic shock for the port of Los Angeles. This is the nation's busiest gateway for Pacific trade, as you know. LA's port has fought through pandemic disruptions, back and forth tariff battles. But experts say this latest wave threatens to bring a whole new round of uncertainty. Import volumes have already dipped. Dock workers, truckers, retailers now are bracing for shortages, higher prices, and a ripple effect that could slow down the U.S. economy. With shelves already thinning and global supply chains on edge, the stakes literally could not be higher. And here to help us understand what is at stake and at risk and what comes next is Jean Seroka, the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles. Nice to have you back.
Great to see you, Giselle.
Very tense circumstances. So, August 1st, right around the corner. What are you most bracing for with these new tariffs, and what goods will be most exposed?
The thing I'm concerned about the most is missing some piece of information. Because since the beginning of the year, Giselle, we've had more than 70 announcements on trade and tariff policy. And I'm just trying to absorb it all because, as I mentioned to you, the phone calls keep coming in. The meetings are taking place. I was overseas in Japan 2 weeks ago visiting with customers and trading partners. And it's just so much. While I was in the green room, an announcement came out on a framework for a deal with Indonesia, and that the president just announced a massive trade deal with Japan at 15% tariffs. I don't have a lot of detail behind that right now, but you can kind of see the pace and the cadence of this info.
Well, you're just breaking news there, but so you don't have any direct then communication with the White House or with trade officials to tell you what's going on at the busiest port in the country.
I'm on an advisory committee for the U.S. Trade Representative. We meet once a week, have a lot of information sharing, but we're kind of in between those meetings right now. I'm getting my information directly from the media.
Before I ask you about the impact of these new tariffs, let's talk about the impact of the back and forth tariffs already. How has it impacted everything you do, the dock workers, the truck drivers, the labor hours, the incoming cargo?
Right. I think it's three pieces. One, because of all this uncertainty, it's really tough for companies and the port alike to make longer range decisions on whether it's hiring people, investment in capital equipment, or infrastructure. Second, these dock workers have been on edge now for several months because of this up and down effect of cargo flow. Yet the ILWU dock workers have answered the bell every single time. We saw the trade announcements in April, then a real drop in cargo in May. Second half of June picked up. We had our busiest June ever, and we're moving all this cargo without one ship backed up. Credit to them.
Credit to them indeed. But what are you seeing now? Are there any warning signals of stockpiling and shipments being backlogged? What are you seeing? Yeah,
we're seeing a lot of people bringing in extra inventory, trying to get it under the wire of this August 1 deadline and August 11 for China. But what we heard this morning from the Treasury Secretary, those dates may be soft and movable. We're not sure yet.
But that's the new normal, right? Not knowing that there's so much uncertainty and knowing how to navigate this complex time. Tariffs on China were at 145. Now they're at 30%. Are you expecting then a surge of shipments, or do you think there's been such a backlog it's just going to stay delayed?
This surge is going to come in through the month of July. We're estimating almost 1 million container units for this month, which would come really close to our all-time monthly record.
Okay, and now we're seeing Mexico, Canada also going to have some hikes in tariffs. How does that affect the supply chain, especially when you're talking about cars and technology and agriculture?
Right, closer to home, Canada and Mexico are our two biggest trading partners. The old NAFTA agreement, which turned into the U.S.-Canada-Mexico agreement, has so many interdependencies in electronics, textiles, automotive. Cars that are manufactured in these countries, brought here to the U.S. and sold, are really part of this fabric of American economy. Adding more complexity to that and more money is going to mean more money out of our pockets as consumers.
And you travel a great deal. When you go to these countries that are our long-time standing allies and our biggest trading partners, what are they saying to you?
You know, it was really interesting. I went to Germany for some meetings, walked into my first conference room, a hush came over. In Osaka, Japan, the conversations were a little tense. I had to remind both parties, it's still us, it's still Los Angeles. We love your business. These relationships are sacred to us.
And obviously, you've heard the White House has trying to cancel flights between Mexico and the U.S. How is that going? And that's cargo as well as passengers. How is that going to impact what you do at the port?
We still do an appreciable amount of business to the Maquiladora areas of Mexico. And you're going to have parts and components that kind of come in together with the big container shipments that we move. It's going to have some impact. It's going to set these factories just a little off kilter because of that uncertainty and higher price.
What are you hearing from retailers, manufacturers, logistics companies? What are they telling you? Are they stockpiling? What are they doing?
Yeah,
diversifying their suppliers.
Right. The central focus is just that. How do I combat these tariffs? Mary Barra at General Motors this morning announced their quarterly earnings and over $1 billion hit to their profit line because of the tariffs. And Mary made a very concrete decision not to pass on these costs just yet to the automobile consumers across the nation. The retailers are bringing in product as best they can under these tariff dates, but they're saying we're probably going to have less inventory, fewer selections, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to pass on some of these prices.
So what are you most bracing for, the consequences of these new tariffs? Like, what is your biggest concern?
Well, our speed to market component has always been the hallmark in Los Angeles. You can get from North Asia, say China, South Korea, Japan, to LA, and then into the rest of the country with product quicker than anybody else going. As cargo migrates to other locations, say Southeast Asia, India subcontinent, you have now choices in front of you, whether you want to go through the canals, Suez or Panama, or continue to stay with Los Angeles, because the transit time comparison kind of gets a little bit closer. The faster we are to market, the better positioned we are. The longer distances, we've got to kind of recalibrate our own service with our shipping line partners.
It doesn't sound like you have a lot of communication with the White House or big trade officials right now, but what do you most need from policymakers? What would you most want from the administration to help you do what you do, which is basically the gateway to the supply chain?
Yeah, some concrete policy decisions. These shifting goalposts and timelines, up and down movement on tariffs are not helping many try to make their forward-looking plans. Secondly, let's be reasonable here, because 70% of our economy is you and me buying. These tariffs will come down to the retail level, regardless of what folks say. And then thirdly, if you want to build up manufacturing capacity in the U.S., give us a sector-specific plan with timelines, geographies, and the needs for talent so we can start building up the good workforce. Because if that happens, we've got to play here on the export side that we can really help that policy flourish.
You've been at this a long time, uncharted territory.
It is very different, Giselle.
Thank you for coming in, Gene Seroka. Really appreciate your time. I hope you'll come back and come back often.
Great to see you. I will.
Great to see you. Thank you so very much.